dismissed regional national security boss. Gender minister rendered useless by courage. Rendered useless by Courage Kwashiga's widow. Forced to withdraw dismissal letter of school feeding boss within 72 hours. Sorry. Gender minister rendered useless by Courage Kwashiga's widow. Forced to withdraw dismissal letter of school feeding boss within 72 hours. AFUA Ankara and Bernard Mona take on unruly EC bosses. KGL partners Youth and Sports Ministry to raise $25 million ahead of AFCON and World Cup campaigns. The Daily Statesman, KGL seals $25 million deal with Ministry of Youth and Sports. Government unveils big road program, 11,000 kilometer earmarked for construction, 6,000 kilometer to be completed this year. Ghana quits League of Anti-Money Laundering deficient countries. Good news there. Goal's $35 million bitumen plant to be operational in September. Another good news. The Searchlight newspaper, government to complete 6,000 kilometers of roads, and Kate Jenfua wept. KGL partners Youth and Sports Ministry ahead of AFCON and World Cup campaigns. 20 interchanges to be completed out of 25 programmed government is talking. The publisher, breaking the account jinx. Is Baumia the man? Is a question. Tampuli, Krapa, Obiamwa and others to face Parliament. KGL partner Sports Ministry to raise funds for AFCON and World Cup. $500 million Sino Hydro project on course. Amwakwata is talking. But the World Cup, the AFCON issues, the stadium, what's up? The custodian. Ghana off EU money laundering list in June. Government to complete 6,000 kilometers of roads in 2021. 25 billion Ghana cedis needed for 11,000 kilometer road. NDC seeks refuge in appeals court over Techiman South polls. KGL partner Sports Ministry for AFCON and World Cup campaigns. Daily Post. Head teacher shot dead in his house at Cape Coast. Okujeto Ablakwa suggests 5 simple ways to tackle Galamsey successfully. NPP supporters in Ebuakwa North against Alhaji Bodinga's appointment as DC because he's a Pepeni. Wow. Obesidian, is it Achena as primary dealers in government bonds. And then we also have $6.5 billion US from oil in 10 years, but nothing to show. PIAC CEOs have spoken. In the news again, we have GRA boss picks up Outstanding Public Leadership Award at 5th CEO Summit, and then Ghana to go off EU's money laundering list. And then finally on the Economic Times, BOG in a fixed position over policy rate decision. Digitization agenda lauded as stakeholders cautioned to be wary of associated risk. Banks to start taking NIA ID cards for transactions. Right. So that's it for the headlines of the newspapers in front of me. We'll go for a quick breather. When we come back, I'll introduce the guests and we'll start the discussion.
June, a Hisense fridge promo. For Hisense showroom, yeah, this one, Mamu say, fridge that be how, and that's we have fridge for fro, and my opportunity way and sound hot that Hisense fridge na F4, and chair, a papa, and chip power, and bonus on the low. Hisense pet and the mouth 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. So Hisense fridge papa, never crow Niama. Kai say, if it's 18th May, I got him 8th June, a Hisense fridge promo. Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining sets, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
Lawful wedded wife to having to hold from this day forward.
I do.
Esther! I knew it.
Drama saying a bit mashe. I'm a winyaji. For HD Plus, who feel. My HD Plus, nyanyon papa pama with HD TV. For star 879 hash for subscribe it. Not try we need to feel say see.
News reporting does not end because the day is over. Anytime the news breaks, it is our duty as journalists to report it in a timely and accurate manner. It is also our responsibility to seek answers to the lingering questioning on the minds of the audience to hopefully bring closure to an unfolding story.
Address me on the parameters of this invitation. Mr. Speaker, you owe me. I don't want to ever disrespect you, but if you invite me, I will.
Let's interrogate the facts behind the issue, speak to the newsmakers, present the relevant fact in a way that tells the full story. Newsline, an in-depth probe into the news headlines. The news never sleeps. My name is Moro Awudu. Join me from Monday to Friday at 10:30 p.m. on Metro TV for Newsline.
Ghana is a beautiful country. There is so much of it you probably haven't seen, haven't experienced, haven't touched, haven't felt, haven't eaten. When this is all over, let's discover our land again with new eyes. Let's feel each other again. We are one people, brought together by destiny. Let's make that count. Let's show love for each other and our environment. Let's tell our stories. And let's watch and listen to our stories. There will be so much to tell. Ghana is a truly beautiful country. Be Ghana, stay in Ghana, experience Ghana, make Ghana great. And we will invite the world to come and experience Ghana too. But for now, stay home. Brought to you by the National Film Authority. Supports the Stay Home and Discover Ghana Later campaign. This channel supports the campaign.
God bless our homeland, Ghana.
You're welcome back. You're still on Good Morning Ghana here on Metro TV. So my guest this morning, let me start off with the newcomer. The newcomer is Mami AFUA Setiedu. Mami AFUA Setiedu is actually the Deputy National Women's Organizer for the NDC. And she's joined us here in the studio. Mami, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Annie.
For breaking the code. Right, you're welcome once again.
You.
Right, so Lara too, Musa Saka is also here, and she is a member of the MPP's communication team. She's joined us. She broke the code like when? When did you break the code?
Last year.
Last year, yeah. Last year she went for a long break and then broke the code of the break. So welcome back.
Thank you, Annie.
Welcome once again.
Good
morning to you. But this morning, I have a couple of birthday wishes I want to make to very special people. I think the first person is a special person too, or an associated member, an associated member of Metro TV. You know, by some connection, she's an associate member of Metro TV. And that's in the person of Mrs. Theresa Abbey, wife of Dr. Randy Abbey, the host of this program. Yesterday was her birthday. I heard things, I picked up information. So even doctor doesn't know that I picked up information. So I know what happened in the house. I know everything. However, I want to wish her a happy birthday this morning. And I think we have her picture. If we do, we can have it displayed. Okay. When we have it, I'll let you know. They'll put it up. There's another person also. He is actually a member of Metro TV. Mr. Natlai. Okay, so that is Mrs. Abbey. Some people will say Mrs. Randy Abbey. Yeah. So that is Mrs. Theresa Abbey, mother of twins. I envy her, mother of twins. Yeah. I want that blessing too. I'll tap into it. Anyway, so that's her. Happy birthday, or belated happy birthday to her. Another belated happy birthday goes to Natlai, who's the programs manager of this company. Natlai is, I think, one of the very liberal people you can actually work with. Very, very liberal. We also have his picture. We will let you know when we have it. When they put it up, I'll show you who he is. You might have met him. In fact, if you meet him, you might not even tell that he holds such a big position. He's a big man in this company. So, Uncle Nat, we affectionately call him Uncle Nat. Happy birthday, or belated happy birthday to you, right? So there's another person who has also been on my neck. He says that if I don't wish him a happy birthday, he won't watch this program again. In fact, that's what he told me yesterday. So Mr. Brown, he's in my church, Calvary Temple at Sakumono. I think he's in charge of the sound. Yeah. Today is his birthday. His birthday is today. So happy birthday to him as well, Mr. Brown. I did the do. Okay, so keep watching and keep the faith. Now let's get into what we're discussing today. I'll start off with His Excellency's message to Nigerians. In fact, last week when I saw the videos, I didn't want to believe it. So I went ahead to call a couple of people in Nigeria. It turns out that the story was true. And it was a very, very sad incident that happened and hit the people of Nigeria. Nigeria, we have a problem with security in Ghana. But Nigeria's own is also another thing that they are our brothers, so we care about them. So President AKUFO-ADDO consoles Nigeria over loss of army chief. The story was written by GNA. President Nana AKUFO-ADDO Sunday extended his condolence to the government and people of Nigeria over the death of the country's army chief in a plane crash on Friday. Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru and 10 other officers perished when the Nigerian Air Force plane they were traveling on crashed near airports of northwestern state of Kaduna. The accident is the third this year involving the country's Air Force crafts. Quote, I express the deep condolences of the government and people of Ghana and of myself personally to President Buhari and the government or the people of Federal Republic of Nigeria on the shocking, tragic death of Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Tahiru, other senior Nigerian military officers in Saturday's plane crash. President Akufo-Addo tweeted. I think the plane crash was on Friday. So our hearts go out to their families and may their souls rest in perfect peace. Lieutenant General Tahiru, 55, was appointed by President Buhari alongside other military chiefs in January this year. Until his demise, he spearheaded the relentless fight against Islamic insurgents and the spread of violence by bandits and criminal gangs in Nigeria. So I think we have the video, if it's ready. Yes. That's a video of the plane crash taken by an eyewitness from afar. Obviously, you can't be close. So it was actually posted by Lentema. Lentema says, just in, Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff Ibrahim Tahiru killed in a plane crash, Kaduna. And this was the post that I was able to download just for people to have an idea of what happened. As at the time I was downloading the video, I still didn't believe that it had happened. Because a few days ago, General Tahiru has spoken to the people of Nigeria. They had raised questions of security and some matters, and he was responding to them. If we have that video, let's have excerpts of it as well, so that you get to know the man we're talking about. Okay, there are two videos of. So this is General Tahiru in his armory speech, you know, and he was in his gear. So he was speaking to the people as an army chief. There's another video. When it's ready, we'll give that to you. He was in his calm state, wearing the agbada, you know, usual agbada, and addressing the issue of security, you know, expressing some doubts as to how Nigeria can get itself out of the security situation that it finds itself. This is important for us because maybe somebody might be asking, what business do we have to do with Nigeria? It's a lot of business. It means a lot to us because Ghana is moving gradually into a place of, you know, such hopelessness in terms of security. So we want to look at what's happening to our sister countries and then copy something good if we can, you know. So let me have my guests also come in now. The president has expressed condolences to the family of Nigeria on behalf of us. I feel connected because I was pained when I saw the story. Yeah.
No, good morning, Annie, once again, and good morning to all viewers. With the rate at which the world is moving now, you can't sit unconcerned about what has happened in another country, especially when we find ourselves in the same sub-region and have a lot of similarities. I mean, the major difference is just number in population, but basically we have a lot of. So we'll join His Excellency the President expressing our condolences to the people of Nigeria and the families of the departed. I mean, this is not news that anybody wishes to hear. And this is not news that makes anybody happy. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I just hope that the authorities will go into this, because if this is the third, then there should be a problem. And I hope that the authorities will go into it and investigate it, because we can't keep losing lives like this. I mean, for a general, an army general.
He was appointed just this year in January.
sad.
Yeah.
You know, and even with the age, 55, not too old.
Very young.
Yes. So we'll just express our condolences and impress upon the authorities to really dig further into it, because a plane crash is not something that happens out of the blue. There should be reasons why it happened. Faulty plane. There could also be conspiracies. Nobody knows, but once they take it up and investigate, at least there should be reasons why this happened.
It was my first suspicion with conspiracies, because I have been following his short addresses and social media interactions as far as security issues are concerned. And some of the comments and statements he makes, I find it very daring, and I always feel this man is putting his life on the line with some of the comments he makes, you know, which is why I wanted that video. But I think if it's ready, we'll do, I don't know, when we are discussing other security issues, we'll pick it up. So conspiracy is my problem. And from the story, like you mentioned, this is the third time a crash is happening in such an area or in that particular area. So there should be something to it. They should definitely, look into it. Mami Fa, what would you also say to that?
First of all, I'd like to offer my condolences to the people of Nigeria and to the families of the Army Chief, Lieutenant Ibrahim Tahiru. I would like to join, I think our President did well in commiserating with them. My heart really goes out to his family. For a young lieutenant like that, I think he had just reached his prime.
Yeah.
He was an asset to Nigerians. I mean, from the little I heard, he is a fighter, you know, and he was focused and determined to make sure that Nigeria's security was stabilized. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. It will be interesting to find out if it was just a freak accident or due to deliberate tourism attack or sabotage. You know, these days you can't really be sure. We were not given too much detail of his death or the cause of death. I think that it should be a big lesson to Ghanaians. It should be a big lesson to us because we are gradually getting there. You know, our security situation in this country gradually is not defined, you know, and I think that it is important that we curb it. We don't get there. We don't get as far as Nigeria has gotten to, as far as this security situation is concerned. It is something that we need to watch closely, and also we need to keep a close eye on developments there and take precautionary measures to forestall any occurrences like that here in Ghana, you know.
Right.
You know, when there was a time in Ghana that when you talk about security, okay, you know that these are men that have been trained, and when I say trained, they pick people with high IQs. They pick people who has because the training is all about intelligence, you know, and even how to handle people and how to get information from people was dealt differently. But today the story is different. The story is different because we have we look at your muscle, you know. We look at bodybuilders, we look at hooligans, we look at land guards, we look at all of those people, and these are the people occupying the security space. And security is a very sensitive area, very, very sensitive area. And I think that our leaders will have to take a second look at security. We really have to take a second look at security.
We'll get into that. We'll get into the Ghana situation, but I think General Tahiru's video that was a social media interaction is ready. Let's see if we can also pick some information from what he said before his, terrible demise.
Somebody asked me what I felt about what was going on in this country and how things would unfold and whether I'm worried or not. The answer to the question is yes, I am worried. And let me tell you what I believe is happening. There are 4 major forces in this country today. I'll call them 4 horns. 2 are in the southwest. 1 is in the east. And the 4th one is Buhari, and he represents the north. Now in the southwest, you have 2 horns, very powerful, aggressive, focused, and very, very committed horns. In the persons of Gani Adams, who is the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, and the other is Sunday Igboho, who, by any standard, is the hero of millions. Exceptionally tough young man. Now, these 2 forces, they represent the heart, soul, and mind and spirit of the Yoruba people. They cannot be stopped. They're not politicians. They cannot be intimidated. They cannot be threatened. They're extremely focused, and both of them, if sufficiently provoked, the kind of mass following they have, their readiness to die for their cause, they're extremely dangerous. Thankfully, they're good men, and men that simply want a fair deal in a wider Nigeria for our people. Also men that are committed to the cause of Oduduwa Republic once it is clear that there can be no fair deal in a wider Nigeria. They're totally committed to that. In fact, they're simply waiting for the integrationists to offer a better deal. Outside of that, they're leaving. And when they decide to go, it would take a war to stop them. And they have the hearts of the people. In the east, you have Nnamdi Kanu. I know him, exceptionally tough, very courageous, and he has a massive following. Absolutely massive. I call him the third horn. I call him the Tiger of the East. Exceptionally tough man and inspirational. And if there is to be an election in the East or in Biafra tomorrow, he would win hands down. He has the hearts, minds, and souls of the people. And he's fighting for his people. Then you go up north. And you go, before I get to the president, you go to the Middle Belt. There's a man who's a good friend of mine. He was at Oxford. Brilliant man, Obadiah Malafia. Obadiah is not a freedom fighter as such. He's not a man that is committed to any form of violence. But he's a man of ideas. And his ideas are explosive, extremely inspirational. He's very focused. He's a brilliant intellectual. And his ideas and his intellectual contributions are more powerful than bombs, because he has ignited the sense of awareness of the people of the Middle Belt, the Christian minorities, particularly the northern minorities, particularly the Christians. And he is voicing their opinions and holding their corner and fighting their corner more than anybody else in the history of the Middle Belt, as far as I'm concerned. He's extremely, extremely focused. And he represents, in my view, the 4th horn. And it's a very positive horn, very strong horn, and it represents a hope for the people of the Middle Belt. Then, of course, you have President Buhari himself, who I believe is the 5th horn. So rather than 4, there are 5 horns. President Buhari and those that are with him, that support him, are also very focused and committed to doing what they're doing. And some of them understand the situation and are ready to adapt. Others are not. But that group collectively represents a very powerful force that cannot be underestimated. Within that camp, there are various groups. I mean, I won't go into that now. Some are more liberal and more moderate than others. But by and large, these are President Buhari's loyalists and his people. Now, these 4 or 5 horns are the ones that hold the destiny of our country. If they conflict, and if there can be no compromise between them, at any point in time, and if we do not agree on a formula to avoid war in this country, if you cannot somehow assuage the feelings and persuade the Igbohos, the Adamses, and those behind them to try to be a little bit more understanding about what's going on and try to reach out to them in peace and in love and try to build that bridge, it would be a very dangerous situation we're entering into. The same with Nnamdi Kanu, and the same that the people that Obadiah represents in the Middle Belt. And that's all left to the forces that hold the state. That is Buhari's government and Buhari's people. Now what I have said so far may have lost most people, because it's really not for the less discerning and people that cannot think deeply. It's very profound what I've said, but they say a word is enough for the wise. The dumb may not understand it simply because they're not wise, but the wise will understand what I'm saying. And in a nutshell, what I'm saying is this: politicians.
All right, so I think we're going on to explain how he thinks that if you didn't understand, quote unquote, you may be unwise, but I think it was to be addressing, opponents, maybe, who are fighting his efforts and stuff like that. So that's the man that we're talking about.
I wasn't following him, but with the little that has been shown, it's obvious this was a man who was passionate about making his country work and making sure that he carried people around, not a typical army officer, but someone who thought his nation had more to offer than it was offering now. And that takes us into a broader conversation of the kind of quality we have tracked to public service in our part of the world. I mean, some of these things demoralize people who are not too passionate about what they believe in. All they want to do is just serve their nation. But little things, I mean, not to say the death of these officers is something that should be belittled, but things like this discourage people who really, in actual fact, are passionate about making their nations work and ready to contribute. Because, I mean, if he was appointed just this year, trying to carry everybody along, trying to make sure that his officers are in tune with him, going to visit them and all that, he's not sitting at the top just sending instructions. He's hands-on.
Yeah.
That shows that he knows what he was about and knew what he wanted to achieve, and obviously understands how his nation operates. But unfortunately, I mean, he's late now. We pray that this doesn't demoralize people of his kind, because the world is becoming smaller by the day. I mean, all the physical borders we have are there, but with the internet and the digital era, the world becomes smaller by the day. Maybe some years back, it would have taken us weeks to hear or even get details of some of these things. But today, you get news by the second. And those are the things that we need to keep at the back of our minds when we are embarking on certain things. Because, I mean, the moment these things start coming up, then it affects the quality we attract to public service across the world.
All right, so General Tahiru passed on. He died in a plane crash. Those of you just tuned in, you're asking me who it was. So we were playing him in his military uniform, and then in his casual uniform when he was not in uniform as well. So our condolences as a president, wished the country, our condolences to the whole of Nigeria. Let's see how they come out of it. I think the most important point in there is for Nigeria to tell us that it's about a third time, experiencing a crash by the country's Air Force aircrafts. So we need to check ours as well. If a country as big as Nigeria will have to be experiencing this in three times just this year, then there's a problem with it. All right, so we move into Ghana, where we also have recorded a few incidents as far as crime is concerned. We're still battling with the issue of national security, and there are suggestions that have come in. Cape Coast head teacher shot dead at his residence. A head teacher of Ansapetu Basic School in the Central Region, Mr. Yao Eyifa Gorman, has been gunned down at his residence in Cape Coast. The murder happened around 7:45 p.m. as Mr. Gorman parked his car after returning from a census training workshop on Saturday, 22nd of May 2021. Nothing was taken from Mr. Gorman's residence. Neighbors in the area said they thought a tire had burst after hearing the gunshot, but later realized it was a murder incident. Mr. Gorman was hit in the head in his vehicle. He was pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. Police is investigating the matter. When I heard he was hit in the head, I realized that it was indeed a targeted attack, and ensuring that they actually killed the man. So they shot him in the head. They said it was in the left eye, sort of. Offenso Asamankama chieftaincy clash kills 2. 2 people have been shot dead during a clash at the installation of a chief at Asamankama in the Offenso South municipality of the Ashanti region. The now deceased persons, Nana Kwame Dankwa and Nana Akwesi Apiajeyi, according to the regional police command, were members of the royal families in the area. They got shot as they protested the enthronement of one of the multiple successors of the throne. Nana Akwesi Apiajeyi was killed with his own pump-action gun taken from his car by a marauding crowd. He did not make it at the St. Patrick Hospital. Nana Akwesi also died at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. The police has retrieved 2 empty cartridges from the crime scene as evidence for the prosecution of the organizers of the event for failing to inform the law enforcement body prior to the installation. As part of the investigation, the Queen Mother has been invited. No arrest has been made yet. Now, let's move to the Charismatic Bishop Conference statement that they've made. They say Ghanaians living in fear. The reform security architecture to boost security architecture to boost confidence. The Ghanaian Charismatic Bishop Conference has called for an immediate reformation of the country's security system. The conference says, has become necessary owing to the increased lack of public confidence, particularly in the Ghana Police Service. According to the conference, recent events have made it clear that the nation's security system is not properly set up. The comments comes following the arrest of City FM and City TV journalist Caleb Kuda and subsequent raid of the premises by national security operatives. According to the conference, the citizenry is gradually losing faith in the security agencies, partly because they are unable to get the police to respond to emergencies, to receive a little police action on reported crimes. The General Secretary of the Ghana Charismatic Bishop Conference, Reverend Kwesi De, told City News in an interview and called for an immediate reformation of the security architecture to boost public confidence. Quote, the first thing I will say, we have noticed in the amount of fear and trauma that the people have to live with. Sometimes not so much because they have suffered a particular attack, but just that the fear of the happening. For example, if a neighbor of yours gets an attack, you are likely to be afraid of being the next victim. So it is one thing being a victim of an attack, but it's a whole other thing constantly living under this cloud of fear. So almost every Ghanaian is forced to live under the fear of breakdown of security in the country. The other thing is also that it is obvious that the country's security system is not properly set up. And one of the benchmark we set for it is the ease of reaching the police. There is still one thing that is commonly known as Ghanaians to easily access the police, which we look at. So that's also coming from the Charismatic Bishop Conference. Another security angle that I wanted to clump all together. So, Laura, I'll start with you. the one point I pick is the securing guns for ourselves. And it has been a long time fight from days of Kufuor through Mills, through Mahama. We have been, police always give us indication they have deployed, certain strategies to retrieve guns from the people. I don't know the state we are today, but obviously I think it is increasing. Everybody seems to be having a gun, either legally, acquiring illegally, or not legally. And then our national security as well. This weekend I had a report. I listened to Winston Amon, my colleague's program. Was it radio, I think? And there was a caller that called in and said that he was at home when he heard a loud bang on his door. Open the door, open the door. So he's asking who it is, and the guys shout, "We are from national security." Then he opens the door, and these guys, well built, push him aside, actually shove him, and enter by force. And they start ransacking the place. And he's asking, "Where are you from? And show me your ID." I think he said his brother tried asking, and one of them gave him a slap and said, how dare you question our what. So I think there was an effort to bring in the police. When the police came in, he realized that one of the police knew the guys that had come to the house. But these guys also claimed that they were national security and refused to show any identity, which is also one of the reasons why the calls from security analysts and experts saying that you have to cut off your armory branch of the national security. You need to, because it looks like criminals are taking advantage of it and acting with it. So these are some of the points I picked from all the security issues that came up this weekend and reported over the period also.
Annie, any citizen in this country should be worried about the state of our security, because good or bad, we are all in it. We've come a long way as a nation. Every government augments the efforts of the security installation. I mean, just not long ago, His Excellency the President provided a lot of vehicles and other equipment to the police and the military. I mean, even housing and other social amenities for the security agencies are a priority for this government. But the thing is, just like any human institution, the security will have people who are equally bad. Because with the rigorous training they go through, with the tests they go through, it's not, that process doesn't necessarily pick up the negative attitudes of some of these officers and men in service. But what's the worry? The worry is the increase in numbers of these incidents. But could it also be that because of access to information, because of an influx of radio stations, TV stations, social media, we are hearing these incidents more than we used to when? I mean, we need to look at the balance, because the recent one was the CTF thing. Imagine it had happened at just any institution. Would it have gotten the attention it got? So we need to also look at it, because in trying to solve a situation, you look at all the angles. Security is not something anybody should joke with. And when you look at the report, it's obvious that the national security, being the institution that it is, draws expertise from all the security agencies. So those involved have been sent back for investigation and disciplinary action. I hope we don't leave it there, because just as we followed for actions to be taken on this, whatever investigations will be taken by their mother institutions are things we should follow and make sure that we get the results that we all desire. But acquiring arms, as you said, acquiring arms illegally is allowed. But
illegally?
Legally, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I meant legally. Legally is allowed. There are rules that govern that. But we live in a society. Sometimes I tell myself the conversations we have in private, if we are bold to have some of them, we wouldn't have some of the problems we're having. I quite remember a couple of months ago, I had an issue with my car and I took Uber. Then we used the underbridge. You know, at a point, the prisons were bringing out inmates to read around the principal streets. So we got out of the tunnel and one of the inmates asked for money. I said I wasn't giving him. So the driver took 1 CD and gave it to him. I mean, to him, he's done a good thing. I'm the bad one. But I asked him, look, this is how most of our problems start. These inmates have been brought, if I have anything to give them, I'll send it to where they are. But these inmates have been brought to the roadside for a specific purpose, to help clean the dirt around.
You mean the prison inmates?
Yeah, the prison inmates. Their main purpose there is to make sure the place is tidy. Now, they may be hungry, they may need water, all right, but you are giving them money. The next moment you realize now the cleaning is not their focus. It's the money,
begging of the money.
That'll bring them to it. And that's our problem.
But
start.
That kind of behavior, sometimes when I see them, I wonder why the wardens have given them that chance to be begging for arms or money. Because I also feel that when they bring them out to come and work, it looks almost as though, and I'm not saying it for a fact, I'm just suspecting, because they do it in a way that they are not even afraid that the warden either might stop them or whip them or do something. They just do it right in the face of their wardens. I mean, so maybe by the time they go back to the prison, they should have a quota of meeting. If they don't meet that quota, then there's a problem.
I mean,
so
we don't know
because
that
you're in prison. What are you using money for?
Oh, they don't. I mean, the fact that they are confined, they still have a certain needs that they have to meet.
So they buy things.
You never know.
Okay, I don't want to digress. So let's go on with your.
That brings me to my next point.
Yeah, okay.
You see, we find ourselves in a nation where we think each one for himself now. You're talking about a prison warden who is supposed to keep an eye on these prison inmates he's brought. But they are doing something contrary to what they've been brought there to do. And we are all watching on and actually aiding it. So the next time you know, there's a bunch of inmates who've been brought in the quest of asking for money, they bolted. Then it becomes an issue for all of us. And that's how most of our issues start, because we don't question the people we put in places to protect us. This incident of someone barging in, look, even if you don't open, once they have arms or other thing, they can overpower you. But after that, because at that point in time, the first thing you must prioritize is your life. But after that, do we follow up? We leave a lot of things there. And you can't blame most people, because the bureaucracy, the time wasting that goes into following some of these things. And it comes to a point where we don't also have to only wait when there are issues. How are we interacting with these agencies? Now, most of them are bringing their services and operations closer to the citizen, the one who is their priority. How are we taking advantage of those things? How many journalists take the opportunity to interact with some of these agencies for us to know what they are. No, because the moment operatives of these institutions know that the citizen knows what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. How many of us even know that there are 3 arms of the military? How many people know that? How many people know there's the armed forces? How many people know there's the military, there's the Navy, there's the Air Force? We call all of them soldiers. You know, when you go into the police.
But how are we supposed to know?
How are we supposed to know? You are supposed to help us know.
No, I'm not the one supposed to help you know.
You are the 4th estate of the
yes,
realm.
The media's work is very private.
You go to
they decide on what they put out. But when the structures of the country by governance system is put rightly, then we know what to do. But that's why we have NCC.
When you say put rightly,
in terms of structures.
When you say in terms of structures,
we have NCC, right?
Yes.
The NCC today is almost like a white elephant. I hope you agree. The NCC, every time we interview them, in fact, I'm tired of interviewing them. Every time we interview the NCC, we tell you, oh, we don't have human resource, we don't have this, we don't have that. The capacity is so low that they cannot almost do anything at all. But they are actually our first call when it comes to educating the citizenry on what to know and what not to know. There's some of these things, the media is not the first point of call to, but having said that, you even have people who have issues and the first point of call, instead of going to the police, is call on the media. And that is even what justifies the point that indeed people have lost trust in the police. Why would they come to the media instead of going to the police? So a lot of these things, it is the systems are not answering the questions they should answer. So people use all kinds of means to get what they want.
Annie, His Excellency the President, whenever he appoints anybody, makes it known to the general public. Who carries that news? It's the media. You're talking about NCC. Today, if NCC should call up the media and say, we want to do a media tour, how many media houses will go for free? Apart from the fact that most of you are private, and we understand that you have to run a business, you have to pay bills. You also have a social responsibility.
But you don't tell us where we should drive our social responsibility projects.
But
if we have a social responsibility...
What is the benefit of a social responsibility if the citizens
who divert our resources to, say, Kolebu Teaching Hospital and give them 100 beds? Why will you hold us responsible for not helping?
You're not getting the point
NCC.
About you having a social responsibility. I'm not talking about some of these.
No, I'm trying to tell you.
It's bringing out the information.
No, I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to say that social responsibilities, projects implementation depends on the institution and where they want to divert their help.
Someone dies, right? Someone dies because there's no bed. You bring out the story, probably interview the head of the institution, who will most of the time come out with what the issues are. But do we follow up after that? We don't. It's like, it's all about the negative hype and we leave it at. The next time, God forbid, if someone dies, we go again.
That's unfair.
No, you see, Annie, if we are going to be dispassionate and talk about the issues in this country, there'll be a lot of unfairness because the truth is not a pleasant thing. Look, we take a lot of things for granted. We virtually shortchange each other, right? But once the information is there, and people know what is due them. Look at what the Ministry of Information does. The Ministry of Information does. Yesterday was the Minister for Roads and Highways. Talked about a lot. About the interchanges, about the kilometers of road and all that. How many media houses carried that? Because there was no controversy. You see, that appetite for controversy is good sometimes. But when it comes to nation building, we really need to look at that. Because at the end of the day, it's the nation for us.
If you monitored news this morning,
yes,
you realize that at least 3 media houses, at least 3 media houses carried the story of the head teacher that was shot. That was barbaric, that was scary, and from the story of the Archbishop Conference, they tell you that it's one thing to be a victim, it's another thing to live in fear. This head teacher, if I'm wrong, maybe they should correct me. They said he's also a radio presenter. Is it somewhere? I will get the radio station. To live in fear. So if we are in the same, profession, we will be. Every media has an agenda, and whether negative or positive. So the agenda this morning, if we state our agenda for news today, our lead story as Metro TV, we can choose that our lead story will be that head teacher that was shot dead, and then followed by other stories that happened. Maybe the roads minister's address would be maybe a third story, because the agenda for us is leading with security before roads ministers, roads and others. So it doesn't necessarily mean, when you see it's not leading the news, it doesn't really mean that we are not paying attention, no. It means that we are prioritizing the stories that we put across.
Annie, let me get back. You see, when we start treating...
Okay, I'm sorry, but they're asking me, I think our break time is past, but let's go for it now. When we come back, I'll let you land, and then Mami Fa will also come in.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always drink fresh, natural, eggs, mineral, water.
Still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
News reporting does not end because the day is over. Anytime the news breaks, it is our duty as journalists to report it in a timely and accurate manner. It is also our responsibility to seek answers to the lingering questioning on the minds of the audience to hopefully bring closure to an unfolding story.
Address me on the parameters of this invitation. Mr. Speaker, you owe me. I don't want to ever disrespect you. But if you invite me, I will.
Let's interrogate the facts behind the issue, speak to the newsmakers, present the relevant fact in a way that tells the full story. Newsline, an in-depth probe into the news headlines. The news never sleeps. My name is Moro Audu. Join me from Monday to Friday at 10:30 p.m. on Metro TV for Newsline.
Security borders on issues, social issues and everything. So you go, a teacher is shot, unfortunately, you report on it. Is that all? Okay, you report on it, you go to the family, you go and ask them and all that. Then what? Do we follow up? You know, so that's bit, my point is that bit of just putting the information out there and leaving it, okay, we put it there. The man is dead, unfortunately. What happened after?
What do we do?
What
after?
happened
what does
before?
The media, what
Someone is responsible for that. Why, just putting the news out there. How does the person out there know that, okay, this was the reason that, but just putting the news out there, people get panic, his neighbors live in fear. How do you assuage that fear going forward?
I want you to give me an example of what we have to do beyond that.
Annie, you reported a story, right? It may sound like, oh, that's giving too much weight, but when you put it out there, you also have the responsibility, because look, that fear created in at least the environment he lives in. I mean, the psychological torture, in these days that we are talking about mental health and all its attending issues, there also needs to be, you also have that responsibility to assuage that fear.
So what
that the people are,
so it happened. The whole nation was brought to its knees on that particular story. We covered series of it. We go on and on. Every year we celebrate his anniversary, and the media always gives, you know, the updates to the issue. And then beyond that, government picks up what we have put out and then find solutions around it.
I mean, when you talk about Major Mama, I mean, that's a cousin I didn't know of Major Mama. I mean, the way it was like a whole community after one person. I mean, people get lynched, not through no fault of theirs. Some even go unnoticed as a nation. Things happen in different, we have 16 regions, things happen. If someone doesn't bring the story, nobody hears about it. The woman who was lynched in my own Savannah region, it came up because someone brought it up. It got security agencies going on. Mm-hmm. But the next, because of the education and all that, the next ones that were tried, they didn't succeed because people knew what to do. Family and the people who depend on me will not be left on their own. You get it? But if you had left it at he just been lynched and buried, what would have happened to the officers on duty now? I mean, we need to look at the issues, all that. It may sound like too much work, but we need to, the negativity, look, there will always be crime. The best we can do is minimize it because there will always be bad people. Mm-hmm. But how do we, the good people, override them? It's about information and how we treat the information that comes in. I mean, everything comes with interest and all that. But how do we manage these interests? You may have your agenda as a media house, but sometimes some of these social intervention stories must be prioritized. Look at how you all came behind your colleague. Will an ordinary citizen have gotten such support?
Don't let me fight for the media here. Let me have it for I'm tempted to ask a follow-up question, but let me come to you.
Yeah, it's very obvious that the security of this country is deteriorating fast. Day in and day out, we have unfortunate issues happening. And I also believe that when these things happen, leadership must show strength. Leadership must be true to what they come out and say. For example, I can mention a number of people who have been shot mysteriously without, you know, there hasn't been any proper investigations, and if there has been investigations, nobody really know what the outcomes were. Our own politician, the former MP, called Oforiatta, was shot mysteriously in his home, in his bedroom, was forcibly, boldly shoot them and steal whatever they want and get away with it. And the investigations are long and winding. We never come to a proper conclusion. You know, we've had market women being attacked in buses, in churches. I remember there was a meeting, the NDC organized a meeting, and we needed our women organizers to come into Accra from Techiman. Okay, on the Techiman road to Accra, armed robbers attacked, you know, this bus. And the fortunate thing was that the bus driver was used to the situation, so was so clever in handling it. This bus driver ended up reversing for about 10 good minutes, you know, and just try to, you know, avoid these armed robbers. And these situations occur day in and day out. We had this Techiman South issue during our last elections where armed men just shot into the crowd, you know, and we had a few unfortunate incidents coming up. People died, you know, and what investigations have we been able to come out so far?
And even with the Sogakope assemblyman, that man that was shot dead, I think it was someone
Yes. You know, these days people are just too bold in doing some of these things. And it is time we find out why this is happening. Years ago, we had stories about, you know, Ghana was such a peaceful, safe country. And, you know, compared to Nigeria, Nigeria had such weird stories. You know, people will tell you if you go to Nigeria, even from a restaurant to your home, you are not sure what will happen to you because armed robbers may attack you, you know, from, I mean, wherever you are to your home, if you are not sure, you'll be attacked. And we had so much news coming from Nigeria of how unstabilized their security was. And it looks like gradually it's creeping in here. And
don't we suspect that it is because we're having a lot of them with us? I mean, some weeks ago, their chief.
Well, you see,
our people.
We may have some of them here with us, but I also think that even when our own, you know, go out there and conduct the same whatever crime, they don't get punished. So people are emboldened. You know, we have, I mean, the so-called national security. I mean, shooting people like the Techiman South one that I mentioned. We've seen them, I mean, manhandle public officials, you know. And, you know, when these things happen, like Lieutenant, what was his name?
Parado.
No. The Nigerian guy who...
Tahiru.
Yes, Lieutenant Ibrahim Tahiru. The way he comes out strong to come and tell his people that we will keep this security issue. We will make sure that this does not happen again. Nigerians are going to be safe. It is time we all get involved. You know, and I think that we need that strong voice here as well. We need people to be punished when they do, when they, you know, also when they also create these situations for us. You know, we need people to be punished. When people are punished, then you don't encourage the Nigerians and other people and other criminals, you know, doing same. But when public officials, you know, commit crime and are not investigated, or the investigations never come out, they are not punished, then you have the other smaller, you know, criminals also show country, tourism and all what have you, because we are seen to be a peaceful country. We are seeing that our security is quite stable, you know, but we are destroying that. If it is not kept, we will end up, okay, destroying, of course.
And I thought it was ridiculous. On the Herald newspaper, NPP Delta Force Group warned dismissed regional security boss. And the story says that embattled Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator, DCOP, retired Kwekwayenso Pariado, has been warned not to dare members of the defunct Delta Force Group, or they would be compelled to leak secrets about him. while accusing him of masterminding the physical attack and removal of his predecessor, Mr. George Ajay, from the office under disguise. They claim they have other secrets in their chests and could leak them if he tries their patience. He is the person who, quote, he is the person who instigated some of us to get Mr. George Ajay violently removed from the position, so that when he assumes the position as National Security Coordinator, he will recruit us to become National Security Officers. Which, of course, we trusted him and carried out George Ajay's attack. And you remember that attack? We have that video. Oh boy, this country. So Operado then remembers their